bring them to the council, and this is where they'll be introduced, is right here. Is that correct?
We're going to bring him to Jordan. He's going to put it on an agenda item. We'll bring him here and discuss him.
Okay, that was. And then, Councilman Van Vliet, you said that you would never be in the same room with 5 council members because you know that would violate the law. On the 26th of the 12th. I think it was the 12th, January 12th, 2010, you said that. Except for on January 13th, 2009, all council members met at the electric department to examine a truck, which is outside of chambers. It is a meeting, and you can't do that.
Was there an agenda of any policy done
What
there?
January meeting
I don't
was
know.
that? What January meeting was that?
It was to look at the pickup.
When you
up at
guys
the
all went up and
electric
looked at the
shop.
pickup, I mean, it's not a big
Before the
deal,
meeting.
but everybody knew you did it, and then you stand in here and say you'd never do it.
The pickup?
A year ago,
It was at budget time.
No, it wasn't at budget time. It was on January 13th, 2009. And you met at 6:30 at the water department.
Pickup, and we went to go look
On
at
the north side.
on the north, yeah, a year ago.
Yeah, but you said in the last meeting that you would never be in the same building with 5 council members.
Well, that's like being in a restaurant with him. We're never in there discussing any business.
You did discuss
And
it. According to the employees that were
city
there, you
staff
did
and everybody.
discuss it.
we
You can't-
discussed the pickup,
But you
whether it
can't do
needed a
that.
tire or not.
You need to do that in front of us.
Okay? Cloud your
It
charge.
takes 5 of us because we're all invited to go look
And
at
it's,
it.
yes, you were all
Thank you.
invited, and they thought you were all coming at different
If you want to
times.
speak, come up to the podium and state your name, please. Any more?
Not on that issue. I
Thank
think
you.
you get the point what I'm after. I just want open meetings to be open. I just want to hear the discussion.
I
I
get
think
it.
that it's valuable.
I get it.
Okay.
Thank you. We're going to item B yet,
Let's.
public records.
Public records. I exercised my right, the Freedom of Information Act, and requested names, dates, and times of any non-city employee or any member of the City of Sidney City Council that has requested or provided personnel files for any information about a city employee.
Requested what?
Okay.
Personnel
During the
files?
January 26th meeting, a city employee stood up and spoke, and he said he was worried about retribution. On January 27th, Jordan Ball was contacted by a city councilman and requested that employee's personnel file and the employee's personnel file that stood up on January 12th meeting. Now, if that doesn't appear to be retribution,
There is an exception. If councilman confers with me, it's an exception to the requirement to turn over anything.
right, and you didn't turn over anything.
I don't know where you're getting all your information, but I'm going to say that if any councilman calls me, writes to me, emails to me, and I write to them or email to them that it's protected attorney-client privilege material, and it's not going to be turned over.
Okay.
Certainly not by me. So
But
I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay, the day after somebody stood up, I mean, and what they're worried about is retribution, and several city employees are worried. They'd come in and speak, but they're afraid. And they're afraid because the next day, all the information, and it went beyond councilmen. Mike, you also requested the information.
I requested a job description.
Right.
That's not
But-
looking at, oh, wait a second, because you mentioned my name. When you request a job description, that's just simply trying to find
Get to the
information.
microphone, don't sit in the chair, do that.
I apologize. I requested a job description for a city employee because I was curious, because I had heard the same rumors you did,
Okay.
okay? I did not do anything to that employee.
No, I didn't say you
Did not
did.
talk to a member of the city council, did not seek to try to have retribution with anybody, and it's a job description.
Right.
I went through the appropriate
I didn't
members
say that you
of the
did.
city staff, and they released it.
Mhm.
So
As-
how is that retribution? I have nothing, I have no axe to grind with that employee or any other.
The question is, the day after they speak,
I
you
have
requested
a question
information.
for you then. What would we do? I don't even know what you're talking about, but what would we do with the personnel file?
Well, it's
Could we do
actually
anything?
come up that it's in question of,
Could you do anything to a city employee as a council member? No. We don't hire or fire anybody except city manager.
that's right.
So that's the only
But the
person.
question, and the other person that...
So why would any city employee be worried about speaking here if the only person they answer to is city manager?
Why would the personnel file of the employee that spoke be requested the day after he spoke?
I don't know.
I don't
What
think
good
it
would
was
it do
a file,
any
it was just,
councilman?
it was a question on how the position came to be and what went in with the administrative decision on how that department is structured. And so all we did is provide factual information to provide accurate information on why that had occurred and why we do the type of training that we do in the electric department. Had a lot to do with a lot of turnover in that department. It's a highly skilled, very intense, very safety-oriented position. And we were basically a training ground for a lot of other entities that wanted to hire me. So, you know, part of providing that information was just trying to have everyone understand how it's benefited the city by having the structure that we do. And this was actually a suggestion to have, the question had dealt around a crew chief position and how that came to be. And so we just went back to various memos when the electric superintendent had suggested it to the public works director, who then in turn suggested it to me, following the proper chain of command.
Okay.
We did analysis of it and so forth, and I provided that information, but I am subject to that Freedom of Information Act. I don't have any ability to, unless it involves personnel issues I feel would be damaging, and I just thought it was factual information that was requested. I didn't see anything wrong with it either.
The only thing is, public perception is that it's a message of retribution or an implied threat. And all of it has to do with the timing. It was 12 hours later.
Well, Tammy Nelson, when you say city council doesn't hire or fire, the only person they hire or fire is then why would they even be concerned with what's in a any city personnel file other than their employee?
I don't know. I mean, what good would it do a city council member anyway? That's what I'm stating.
It would give a message.
It sent a message. It sent a message loud and clear. If you stand up in a council meeting and you say anything, we'll be there over your shoulder. It was the message that was received. And not by just one employee, by several.
I would say it'd be more apt to happen if they said something contrary to what the ongoing city belief would be, that they would be more subject to reprimand. But I don't see how a council member is going to reprimand any city employee.
Well, I can't see why a council member would request a file of a guy that spoke at a meeting 12 hours later.
I don't know. What would you gain from the file anyway? I don't
Well,
know.
his
What's
whole
in the
job
file?
came into question.
Whether-
But
whether
so the city
question
employee
was-
is perfectly safe.
But whether the question was to see how the job came into being, that's just theoretically, why did the job come into being? And then ask the city manager why it came into being that way, that would make sense.
Well, he'd been in
But
the
what-
job since 2005. Why did it come into question the day after he spoke?
I don't know.
Did I say something?
If you come up here,
I'll speak real loud.
okay, you can break it for the press then.
No.
I know,
The
but
perception at that meeting was that you wanted to get rid of the city manager. So that doesn't put the employee in a very safe position either.
Any more on public record?